Okay, real briefly, we got a new memorandum. Everybody's going to analyze this to living daylight. So yes, we have Roland Stoll is the information technology guy. And so now let's see if we can break the code of this name, which, as you recall, MatPat had the only badly thought out Jamie B. Honey. I mean, it had a nice ring to it, but did not fit on these pegs very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring these into, well, first let's see. I tried to be able to see through the pegs and see how they line up on the existing letters. And then, unfortunately, the letters that are on the floor, you cannot pick up and manipulate onto the sign. So we're going to do it in Blender. So first thing we had to do was grab the signs and the letters, which are two separate meshes, and then break that apart. So let me show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so in Blender, if we put everything in here and do a wireframe, we can see very clearly where the pegs line up behind the letters. And these letters are all as one mesh over here. So what we'll do is we'll just edit them and move them. But first thing I think we should do is reposition the pegboard so that it is nice and horizontal like the other ones are. Okay, then we just start to position the letters and see if the spacing looks good or not. Some of the letters seem a little smaller than the other ones, and I don't know if that's a mistake or a clue. So I left them all the size that they were in the file, and I did move some of them over and position them on top of the letters of the other names, and many of them were roughly the right size. So when you start to position things, and you can notice that the pegs, some of them are higher and lower, the O is going to be the most difficult one to position, and it appears as it can only really go on the bottom row. And we move them around and more and more. What name? There was a name of a YouTuber that's into American, what are they, those dolls, the American girl dolls or whatever. What was her name? Naija or something? I have no idea. But anyway, the last name obviously wasn't the same. But so then here I was trying to go back to doing Benji because I thought Benji was a cool name, you know. But when I positioned everything, it overlapped a lot. And I don't know if I even recorded that. Basically, anything that just looked horrible, I didn't bother trying to record. And what names made any sense? I don't know. I was never good with names. I couldn't remember my best friend's names. So yeah, I was trying to do Benji, but as you see, the N and the J obviously overlap. So the only letters we have do not spell Jamie B. Honey because there are two A's and not two E's. But we can look at some of the other ones and notice where they put the pegs. The E, it's pretty much always the same. The B is a little bit higher, so I don't think the B, obviously can't spell Benji here because this J can't fit here, and the B should be one of these higher pegs if it's going to be on here. So maybe flip the E and the B here. I don't even think the E probably would go there, but let's take the B and move it over there. And some of the other names I had were, it's Concept Bendy. I don't think Bendy, unfortunately, there's no D, but maybe you can make a D out of something else. Or maybe these letters don't mean a darn thing. That's what I think. I'll look at those later. But interestingly, some of the letters do use multiple pegs. Obviously, this O is a different size, then that's another thing. The O, the I, the H, the M do feel like they're smaller, and possibly the J. But I don't know if that means anything. But I was going to make note of the fact that the N here had two pegs diagonal, which obviously is not going to be the case in this case. I don't even know if the N was the same size. I'd have to drag it over there and look. I don't think it is. So let's move the B because I definitely don't think the B is on that first peg. So I'm going to say the B is probably on this peg. NB. Not too many names start with NB, so I don't think that's going to be a go. Probably B is not a good second letter. But that peg height seems about right. So the next one may be suitable. Need something to measure this better here. I'm not good at Blender. Make sure I use things so I can actually see looking head on. So messing around, we have an Indian name, Abam. I have no idea what I would do for a last name, but that's a possibility. I don't like it because the A and the B intersect a little bit here, and that cannot be. If the pegs are perfectly placed. Question is, are they? We hope that they are, and this is looking straight on. And it doesn't look that good. So let's try some other names. All right, so if it's Jamie, we have this has got to be a little higher and it's going to look wrong. So I don't think it's Jamie. Again, I think the H, the B, those look good for that second letter. It's all a process of elimination. So let's go ahead and move the H over here. That ends up going up a little higher, which isn't too bad. So JH, I don't think the O will look good there because it's in a center peg. The O is going to have to be most likely this lower peg. I think Y looks good there, but then can the I fit? And what has 3 vowels? A-I-O, I-O, I-O. All right, how about maybe Nihoja? Nope, I don't think so. I do like the B and the E here. Also BY might be. So as we see that A and both of the A's, and they're the double letters. It seems like all the other names have double letter, but they're next to each other, and putting 2 A's next to each other doesn't make much sense. And as you can see, they seem a little bit out of place when size-wise on this one. But they were roughly the same size as the Stella, the A in Stella, so I'm not sure. And it's just where the pegs are on this. So the O also seems to be, the O and the J, OJ and the 2 A's seem to be the biggest out of place letters to me. But tell me what you think in the comments. Maybe just a coincidence, but Think Noodles pointed out that in the new memorandum, the page number is 11, and there's 11 letters at the bottom of the slide. But it may mean nothing.